So
Just
before we get
yeah.
into anything, I have a friend that listens, watches the show. I had no idea until they told me, and they love it. And they like laugh all the time. I mean, so it was like, oh, it's really really nice of them to say. But the other day we were talking, and they used the phrase "single as a Pringle."
That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. I swore that I would bring it up and ask if either of you fine, cultured, eclectic gentlemen have ever heard the phrase, much less be able to make sense of the fucking phrase. I now know where it comes from.
So the answer is I have heard the phrase before. And I think it only exists because it rhymes. But I could not tell you why it comes or what it comes from. And again, I think it makes no sense given that the Pringles come in tubes of many Pringles, and also the way that I eat Pringles, I do.
You never eat just one at a time.
I eat them one at a time.
And this fucking psychopath, this psychopath will go by the Pringles can, grab out just one, eat it, and continue on with whatever they're doing.
Yeah, no.
I don't believe it.
I eat them one at a time, as in I pull them out one by one from the tube and eat them, but I'll eat like 20 at a sitting. I'm not going to eat one and walk away. That's not fucking happening.
They're going to be mad at me. They're going to watch that and be like, you just called me a fucking psychopath. I'm like, you are a psychopath.
I have mowed down an entire tube in one setting before.
100%. Yeah, I think everyone has.
Oh, man.
That's like the Lay's you can't only eat just one, like, whole slogan.
Right?
And Pringles I feel like Pringles are better than Lay's.
That.
Like,
we're going to run with that shit. Oh, man.
So apparently where it comes from is because individual Pringles may be jammed together in the can, but they're also always easy to separate. You never find two Pringles fused together as you often do with Junior Mints, Milk Duds, or Jelly Beans. So when it says single as a Pringle, it makes it sound like you're never like it's somebody that's never stuck with somebody else and easy to separate.
You know what? I actually kind of like that, because until you just said that, I hadn't really thought about it. And every other chip, there's like the folded chips that like get stuck together, and like again, anything chocolate will absolutely get stuck together, and like all of that. I like it. I don't agree with it still overall, but I understand it better now.
I think it's a reach. I think someone was like, single as a Pringle, and everybody went, what? And they were like, it rhymes. That's stupid.
I think that's how it started, and the rationale was made after this phrase was started. They were like, okay, we've made this phrase that makes no sense. Let's think of a way to try to make it make sense. Because at first I was like, the only thing I could come up with before I actually looked it up was like, okay, well, maybe it's a reference to like the last Pringle in the can. I was like, but at that time, it's all crushed and deformed and sad. And
actually, I think that's the most appropriate one then. Because let's be honest, by the time you get to the end of the can, that's me. I'm the one that's all by itself and crushed, and
that's why I ate the whole can of Pringles.
And you gotta tip the thing over. You can't reach it. You just gotta like get it all in your mouth, because
that's what
I mean. You're not picking it up. You can't do that.
That's what single is a Pringle means.
You know, Pringle cans really put the people that are into fisting into perspective. It's really hard to get like my whole hand in a can of Pringles.
Josh, if you ever fisted,
that's a pretty big opening.
You don't do it with an actual fist. You know that, right?
Not at first.
I mean, pretty much the whole time.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Black Tower, Audience. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Now that Josh is done with his war call. Hey, everybody. How are we doing tonight? It's your boys from the Black Tower, your Mahales, your tainty gentlemen who are here to inject you with more knowledge about the Wheel of Time series and also some humor and probably some madness. I am your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel.
I'm your Bajan Mahale, Andrew.
And I'm your Sodervan Mahale, Josh.
And we are here to have a good time and fuck shit up.
That's
and
right.
We've run out of things to fuck up. So
yeah. So if you're trying to fist someone and it's it's just real low energy and you just need a little bit more pep in your step, you know what you got to do?
BlackTowerPod.com.
You got to get your dubby. You got to get.
There we go.
You got to get your dubby. That's what's going to give you the stamina to see your way through your fisting session. I don't think the makers of Dubby are like okay with me talking about fisting in their product, but I'm doing it. Go to Dubby.com, type in the discount code BTP, and you'll get 10% off because the Black Tower sent you.
Truth.
And then once you're all jazzed up and energized and you're like, hell yeah, let's do the thing. Then you go to blacktowerpod.com because that's your one-stop shop for all Black Tower podcast things. You want super awesome, super cool Black Tower merch like some Mahale Chibi shirts? You can get it there. You want a super awesome Black Tower merch like Althor Farm Archery School? Boom, you can get it there. You can go to New Creations by Jen and look at that. The sitter for the Gray Aja is proudly sporting some BTP merch. And that's the next point I was going to make at the BTP blacktowerpod.com. You can join our Patreon. And for just as little as $1 a month, you get access to live recordings and pre-recordings. And then you'd get to see this absolutely beautiful picture of an absolutely beautiful woman decked out in probably the most attractive shirt I've ever seen in my life.
And after
was the flattery laid on thick enough there?
And after you go to the blacktowerpod.com, Jesus Christ. That's
not part of the link.
Me. Jesus Christ isn't part of that. Blacktowerpod.com. I know.
Like make a page that like the URL is just / Jesus Christ, and it's just a combination, like a compilation of every time we just like Jesus Christ.
That would be great. No, but I know like that
we tame version of meatspin.com.
I know that we just changed it on the thing, but since Dubby's new, we are going to do it twice in a row. But the other place that we're supposed to plug today is thegreatblight.com. So go over to thegreatblight.com. Nameless is doing great things over there. He's good people. He's awesome. He's making a very nice spot for all of the Wheel of Time fans as far as having a spoiler-free wiki, as well as both content creators themselves and fans of content creators, where you can look up a whole list of the most comprehensive list of all of the different content creators that there are in the Wheel of Time community, and what they do and how they do it. So you're probably going to need some Dubby to go and check out thegreatblight.com because there's so much there. So if you've never been there before, go check it out. Sip on your Dubby while you're checking out thegreatblight.com. Get familiar with all of the great content creators over there. And if you haven't finished the books, stop your spoiler wiki at the point where you've stopped reading. And you won't.
And if you don't need energy, but your friend does, get some W for your buddy.
Dubby,
I
buddy.
like it.
Dubby for your buddy. Buddy Dubby. Get your buddy Dubby.
Something we haven't done in a while, and I like to do every once in a while, because I consider a bunch of the listeners, fairly friendly, and for whatever reason, y'all like listening to us. So every once in a while, I like to do a little like life update, see what's going on, what's new in our lives, because we don't really I mean, we do, but we don't really talk about our lives. And it's a good excuse for somebody else to talk while I go refill my drink because the bigger cup I had wound up having a hole in it. Motherfucker.
Fuck.
So, Daniel.
Cup.
What's new in the life of the Amin Khan Mahil?
So fun fact, I don't know if I've mentioned it a bunch already, but recently Chaboy got laser eye surgery, so I can now see everything in my life, which is awesome. I do actually highly recommend it. I wasn't necessarily recommending it for a little while just because I didn't know what side effects and things were going to be happening. They warned me about dry eye, which is pretty much across the board, and also I have very large pupils, so they were like, at night you're going to get some haloing. That's almost guaranteed. And so far, I haven't had like any side effects.
Ooh.
So again, I'm not saying that nobody will have side effects because the Amin Khan Mahal didn't, but it's pretty great. I definitely recommend it. It was a little expensive, but at the same time, definitely, I mean, I'm 30, so there will be years here where I'm going to be able to, take advantage and enjoy this particular thing. So nice. I definitely recommend it if you are still on the fence. Get it done. Don't wait. It's good stuff. Other than that, just living the dream. Still working and looking to start an escape room. So all y'all who are living in and or around LA, look for that in the coming, I don't know, year and a half. All of that good stuff. Josh is being burned by the sun.
Hung up a curtain. It's not thick enough, apparently.
That's what she said.
Heyo.
What's new in the life of you other than your curtain isn't thick enough? It's not an iron curtain, I don't think.
It is not. It is not an iron curtain. Do you know what's new with me? Honestly, I'm getting ready to go to JordanCon. Like I know we all are, but like that's like probably one of the most exciting things that's like on my radar right now, because that's what 29 days, 20 or 30 days away, 31 days away till the actual convention starts as of today.
Yep.
I'm going to be flying out there. Like
not when Wednesday. This releases, but when we're recording this.
Yeah. When we're at the time of recordation. No, I'm so excited. And the closer I get to it, the more excited I get, because, last time I think we all said pretty unanimously that probably the best thing about it was getting to meet all the people, getting to see and meet all the people in real life and put faces to screen names, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just, and then hearing that there are even more people going to be in attendance this year, like double what there was last year. I'm beyond excited. We're going to be bringing some wristbands. We're going to have some pins. We're going to have some ribbons. It's going to be great. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be so awesome. And
we will miss some people who won't be there.
Yes. Some people will not be able to make it. And that is tragic and sad. Doesn't mean we don't love you any less, though.
Doesn't mean we don't love you any less.
Yes. Grammatically, it makes sense. Don't question the Soravan Mahale.
Also, you just reminded me, so very, very quickly, I'm going to throw in...
just activated my trap card.
By the time this is recording, so all of you people who are listening to this live, get in your submissions for the Watt parody contest.
Oh, that's true.
At the Dusty Wheel, because that ends in a week. Actually, 9 days. So get in your submissions before then. By the time this goes out, you will have already submitted it. So good luck to everybody on the Watt parody contest. We have a submission, and it's going to be fun. So
it's true.
We do.
I mean, yeah, we do.
Totes, brah.
It's not finished yet, so I will send it to you so that you can go ahead and add yourself for the submission if you would like.
Myself.
You do not need to.
No, I will not torture the people in that manner.
Why not?
But
it's just for the video. All of the audio is already put in, so you just maybe need to put yourself in the video if you'd like. But
just
whatever.
Like put myself really small in the background in random places.
Amazing. But Andrew, what is up with you? Other than your
honestly
cool new mug having a shitty hole in it.
It seems like a half of my life right now is revolving around some con.
I believe it.
Yeah, so this past weekend, the 19th and 20th, I went with my local gaming store, Anime Gaming. If you're ever in Havelock, North Carolina, check out Anime Gaming and tell Ralph or Tom or anybody working there that Black Tower Podcast that you can drop my name, whatever. They're really awesome folks. So they asked me to come with them to help them run the booth at the. There's a weird buzzing again.
With who? I will say something. You tell me who is buzzing.
Is it like a continuous buzzing? It was.
Uh-oh. Is it back?
But it's gone now. Sweet. So
okay.
I went with Anime Gaming as an exhibitor for Playthrough Gaming, the Playthrough Gaming convention in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a lot of fun. I was able to buy some fun stuff and meet some fun people. Got some new ideas for the D&D campaigns that I run.
Nice.
Bought a large bone D20, so that's what all the death saving throws will be done with from now on. And I will also be doing everybody's death saving throws for them, and they will not know until they either survive. So I got that. I got the mug that I'm going to have to epoxy the hole on, which is reassuring that it is an actual horn mug to an extent, because horns can be porous and have those defects. So I'd rather it be genuine than not. I got some other dice because I like dice. I'm a bit of a dice goblin. The poster stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Shiny clack.
Yeah. I don't have them right here next to me. Oh, I do have one set here next. Oh no, I do have them all there next to me. I'm just blind. So, yeah, there's one set.
Shiny clickety clacks.
Clickety clackety. Don't come backity.
Bone dice, and then I got some kind of hollow bluish ones. So
nice.
But yeah, so did all that this past weekend. It was a lot of fun, and now everything is kind of geared between now and probably the week before JordanCon, doing WatCon stuff. So volunteer stuff is open for WatCon. If you want to volunteer to be a volunteer at JordanCon. Or sorry, not JordanCon, WatCon. WatCon. Go to watcon.com and you can find all the information and the form to fill out to volunteer for that. We're trying to get all that ready as much as we can before JordanCon, because most of us are going to be at JordanCon or doing things in relation to JordanCon.
Correct.
Then it'll be all of that and everything we're going to do there. We'll probably try to do like last year, we hopped into some of the FOMOCon stuff when
absolutely
and say hi. And then after that, when I get back, it's going to be full bore and into the abyss for WatCon. So it's going to be a lot. But yeah, it feels like half of my life is around conventions right now. The other half is work and podcast.
Right.
It sounds busier than it is, but I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on kind of in our lives right now. So before we announce the topic, because the topic itself is a spoiler of sorts, even though it's just, I don't know, a name, let's go ahead and put on the spoiler condom.
Indeed.
This is your official spoiler warning. This episode contains spoilers for all 14 books and the prequel. If you are still listening, And you haven't read all these? You want to be spoiled, don't you? You crave it. Getting spoiled without putting in the work? Well, get ready. Here it comes.
Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry.
Those of you that didn't already know, that was Ada Lorna, one of the two fantastic hosts of North Harbor Podcast. Go and check them out.
Oh, yeah.
In the coming weeks, there may be an extra reason to go and check them out, but you'll have to wait and find out. Even
Indeed.
though it's probably easy to figure out now. But with that said and done, Josh, what are we talking about today?
Do you know what, Andrew? We're talking about Shadow Spawn, but not just any Shadow Spawn. We're talking about Fades, the Eyeless, the Myrddraal, but not just any Fade or Eyeless or Myrddraal. One in specific. The only one who has a name.
One in specific.
Hey.
His name is
Hey. They all have names. Just because we don't know them doesn't mean
Shaidar Haran.
Yeah, hilarious. Like throw everybody for a loop and just bring in Dave the Myrddraal. Just be like, come on in.
Steve. Steve the
Dave.
Myrddraal. That's who Steve is playing. He played the one Myrddraal.
No, so Shaidar Haran makes his first appearance in the introduction of the Lords of Chaos.
Oh.
No? I thought he did.
The first easily recognizable. It's the first like recognizable one, but the first time
Well, it's the first time he does anything.
So it's the first time we know it's Shaidar Haran, but the first time he actually shows up is in The Eye of the World, chapter 17.
What?
Correct.
Oh God. Okay. I am woefully ill prepared for this.
I am not prepared. Thank you, what.fandom.com, for having good research.
Truth. Wow. Okay. How about this? I'm going to say the first time that he does something. I don't know now.
No, you are correct. The first time that he does something, the first time that he is recognized, the first time that we actually know who he is, because you basically you read the story and then you go back and read it again. And that's when you get that Shaidar Haran is there that early. But the first time you're reading the story, you don't know that is Shaidar Haran.
Yeah. Well, so it's a Fade that speaks. And the Fade basically tells Lan that Rand belongs to the Great Lord of the Dark. Yep. And then vanishes from the hall just before Lan comes crashing to the surface. Or no, sorry, he told that to Rand. Sorry.
Yes.
He told Rand that he belongs to the Great Lord of the Dark. And then disappears right before Lan pops in because, in the books, they don't just sneak up on you and stare at you from the top of a cliff.
Right.
You mean from the other side of a ferry?
He is actually he is actually also the Fade who talks to Bors, who is the White Cloak Dark Friend. And he's the one that's giving Bors his orders. He's the one that's saying, look, if you don't make this happen, I'm going to kill a member of your family every week or something like that.
Like that.
And I love Bors is like, well, I don't really like them anyway, so I got a couple weeks before it really starts to hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime when you're reading through the series,
my second cousin twice removed. So how long till he gets to her? Like
after you meet Shaidar Haran and you go back and you understand more about the Myrddraal. Anytime a Myrddraal has ever spoken to anybody, it's Shaidar Haran. Yes. Because none of the other Myrddraal speak. I don't know if they can or can't. I don't remember it because that was one of the first episodes we ever did on the podcast, and
they are credited with never having spoken, but it doesn't necessarily say that they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's heavily implied though, because even the Forsaken are surprised when Shaidar Haran speaks to them.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. But it's never specifically stated. It's just I was surprised he spoke to me, which doesn't mean that they can't. It just means they never do, which could imply that they can't, or it could imply that they don't give a fuck and don't want to.
I mean, all very viable options.
Exactly. So, but Shaidar Haran does. He absolutely talks. And over here, I actually really appreciate this because it's very true, which is Shaidar Haran is much taller than a normal Myrddraal and seems to have a sense of humor, which most fades back.
I love the section below his picture on What the Phantom where it's like physical description, gender, male, height, tall.
Yeah.
Just tall.
Very tall.
Height? So yes.
Demandred
all of it
is one of the Forsaken. I believe it describes Demandred as being quite tall.
Correct.
But it even says that the Myrddraal was like a whole head and shoulders taller than Demandred.
Like it's like Shaquille O'Neal. Like Shaidar Haran should be played by like Shaquille O'Neal or something.
Absolutely. So
that would be fucking fantastic.
Dude, that would be amazing.
That would be fun actually. So
Shaq for Shaidar
Haran.
Here we go.
Shaq for Shaidar. I love it. We got Malik for Mazrim and Shaq for Shaidar.
What was the car company he did commercials for? Was that Mercedes? There was a car company he did commercials for.
I don't remember. Was it
the Mercedes or Lexus? I can't remember.
Something like that.
And he does do things for the general. But that's like about like saving stuff. I just want him, instead of like riding up on a horse, he just like pulls up on like a fucking Mercedes.
Oh, there you go.
Be hilarious. So he's got some pretty unique abilities that shocks everyone.
So
Chief Most, like, he's able to block people's ability to channel the true source. I mean, it's kind of understandable why once you get to know more about what Shaidar Haran actually is.
Well, not just the true source. He can stop them from channeling all power at all, including the true source, which is the surprise. Because, again, they're surprised in general that he can make them not channel the power. Though the one true. Well, no. Yeah. You said true source. That's what you meant. I'm being dumb. I apologize. But yeah, he can also stop them from channeling the true power as well, which all of this is fucking weird. It's all very off-putting. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You said totally the right thing. I apologize for jumping in. Of course, is absolutely.
Well, and so the other thing is so Shaidar Haran meets Demandred in the beginning of Lord of Chaos, escorts him down into Shaiol Ghul so Demandred can have his meeting with the Dark One.
So that Demandred can get slapped by the Dark
One.
One.
So that the Dark One can say, Demandred!
Would you be
nameless?
I just love how they illustrate that, because like the same thing that kind of happens with Demandred happens pretty severely with Mogideon, I believe.
And both times the Forsaken note that as they go into Shaiol Ghul, the spikes on the walls and floors and everything seem to cave in around them, to like as if they're stepping through into a toothy maw.
Yes,
until
they are basically crawling, like army crawling on the ground so that they don't get hurt by the spikes.
Does the Mandarin get forced into crawling?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Shaidar Haran,
that part. I
walks upright.
I knew Mogideon did. Yeah.
Actually, okay.
I knew Mogideon got forced into crawling.
Demandred does talk about it caving in, but I don't know if he actually gets to the point of crawling. it may actually just start to brush his hair. You
that's what
very
happened.
well maybe correct.
So at one point in time as well, Demandred orders Shaidar Haran to leave. And Shaidar Haran doesn't even acknowledge him. He's just sitting there like, yeah, whatever. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's also present whenever Osengar and Arengar are resurrected.
Yes.
Correct.
And Arengar like tries to beat the fuck out of Shaidar Haran, and he's just fucking.
Yep.
How about no?
Just fucking grabs him by the throat and starts choking him.
Yep. Well, and okay, so one of the things that I want to throw out here just right now, because it's a thing that we're already talking about. People who yell and scream and make a big deal about how powerful they are sometimes are powerful. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes. But they're not nearly as scary and intimidating as people who just know how strong they are. And Shaidar Haran is one of those characters in the book that is completely unimposing in the way of he knows what he has. He knows what he is, and he knows what's going on. He doesn't tell Demandred to go fuck himself when he tells him to leave. He just doesn't do it. He doesn't beat the shit out of Osengar right back because he doesn't need to. He just picks him up by the neck and shows Osengar that he could murder him. Like, again, it's so much about knowing what you have, knowing who you are, and then just acting upon that rather than telling people what you are or what you have or why you're
in contrast to this,
like that.
If you know what you're doing and you really want to throw somebody for a loop, hit them with the Jesus line. They start talking shit, and you just go, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." It throws people for a loop every time. Like, they're either too confused to do anything or they're completely enraged. Either way, it's an advantage for you. That's your self-defense tip from Andrew. I'm not legally liable if you get your ass kicked. But.
Yeah. Also, if that doesn't work, just take off all your clothes before the fight. It'll very much off-put the other person. They probably won't fight you if you get naked before the fight.
You might spend a couple of days in like a special padded room at a really nice hospital that gives you lots of sleepy time meds, but
which is fine. At the end, you'll just have to convince them that you were doing it to get out of a fight, and they'll probably let you go.
I mean,
yeah, like mental care in the U.S. is absolute garbage. So yeah, they probably will.
Yep. I wasn't necessarily making a statement about that, but it is also totally accurate.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, like, so Shaidar Haran is there. He is present for many.
Thanks for bringing us back
many very important.
Thanks, Watt
instances. But I think it's interesting to note that, a lot of people don't really understand, why. Why do we have a Myrddraal that's, 10 feet tall and can communicate?
Why do all the monsters come out at night?
Why do all the monsters come out at night?
Excuse me. He is not 10 feet tall.
Approximately.
No, he is 7'1". Thank you very much. Because that is the exact height of Shaquille O'Neal, and we all know that is who's playing.
You son of a bitch!
So mote it be. No, but why does he have the ability to speak?
So let it be done.
Why does he have the ability to absorb the true source and ensure that people are unable to channel around him? I mean, he's an oddity, and it's I don't know that it's ever been like specifically confirmed who or what he is, but there is actually a really great, is it a theory or is it is it confirmed?
I don't know.
Say it out loud, and then
But I don't know. I'd like to finish talking about his abilities before
sorry.
we get
Go
into
for it, go
who
for
and what Shaidar Haran really is.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the interesting theory part of the conversation. Because I think it's all a theory, as far as I know, which isn't a lot. So that's not saying much. But
you know a lot.
Not about this. What's the wheel of time? What is it?
What?
It's like a circle.
So, bitch, you dare cite the old magic to me, witch? I was there when it was written. But no, like, so that ability to stop channeling is unique as far as Myrddraal go to Shaidar Haran.
Correct.
We don't know if his ability to see the residue of gateways is unique to him or not, but we never see it portrayed by another Myrddraal. Right. There's also not another Myrddraal that speaks, so we don't know. I doubt it's an inherent ability of the Myrddraal. But he can see them as patches of glowing mist, and he's like, there was a gateway here. And much like the golem, not golem, golem.
Golem, yeah.
Yeah, the golem.
Yeah, that guy.
He can't see weaves of power, but he can sense channeling. And we know that the golem are able to make the distinction between Saidin and Shaidar. So can Shaidar Haran by the smell. Mm-hmm. No other Myrddraal has the ability to notice that difference. So he can show up, see a gateway, take a little snifferoonie,
a little whiff,
a little whiff.
Smells like witch magic.
And tell if it was Saidin or Shaidar, which, like, a lot of these things kind of, other than the blocking of channeling, sound like relatively mundane, like passive, like, oh, okay, that's kind of nice. It almost sounds like, the tech good and evil in D&D. Like, oh, that's nice, but it doesn't really seem that useful at face value. But when it all combines, it makes him like this terrifying kind of mix between a golem and your standard Myrddraal plus. Like, all this together makes him like pretty actually fucking scary.
It's like he's the scariest part of the scariest shadow spawn all mashed into one.
Well, with extras.
Can you do like the Drakar's kiss? I just want to know, does he kiss? That's what I'm gonna start asking people, like, before we date. Do you kiss like a Drakar? Because if not, I don't want it.
I kissed Drakar and I liked it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yes.
For those of you listening along, it's another great example of why being a Patreon in our live chat is so much fun. We have
no, they're going to see this one. They're going to see this one.
Shaidar Haran.
Oh, they are seeing this one. I'm putting this one in the video when we're talking about Shaq being Shaidar Haran.
All right,
front and center.
That's going up. Well played. Well played, Snakes and Foxes.
I also love how that
his name is Shaidar Haran.
Yes. And he still plays basketball, just FYI. That is another unique ability of Shaidar Haran, where most Myrddraal
just dribbling on, like, in front of people, giving them their orders.
Just fucking breaking ankles of all the Forsaken.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
On game day.
The other thing is Shaidar Haran also produces black flames.
Black flames?
Like a black orb of light, black flame orb.
Yes.
It's like he can channel, but nobody can sense channeling around him, and nobody's able to channel the true source.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's he's just a terrifying guy, and he still has the basic Myrddraal ability to make you shit your pants just by looking at you.
Yeah, and they're the codification of the bullshit broken D&D ability, Hide and Shadow.
Yes, yeah, that. Oh my, the one that like God, I can't remember.
Hide and Shadow is absolute bullshit in D&D and fighting.
Bullshit. Yeah, we've used it,
and I don't I don't allow it in my game ever. I'm like, it makes no sense. If I am staring at you, just because you move into a slightly darker area, doesn't mean I don't know you're still there. Now, if you have pocket sand, that's a different story.
I'm having a brain fart on the Agonor. When Agonor created the Myrddraal, and they were like, I'm in this shadow, whoop, I'm in this shadow, whoop, I'm in this shadow, whoop. And he was like, yeah, I don't know how the fuck they do that.
Maybe he's a Nara, like Shikamaru.
Maybe. I don't know.
D&D references, anime references, Wheel of Time. It's like a shark.
But then again, let's be honest. Agonor, after making the Myrddraal and watching them do that, was like, all right, guys, put me down as scared and horny.
Mark me down as scared and horny. And the Dark One's like, okay, that's an ability. I'm going to have my my vessel. He's going to have that one. Okay. Oh, it's just scary. He's got all the strengths, none of the weaknesses. Does he have any weaknesses?
I mean,
so he can't be away from Shao Gul for too long. He does have to return to Shao Gul. We don't know the time frame, but he does have to return. He can't be away for too long. Which with that is also like there's a thought that there is also a distance limit. Like, I don't know if he could go all the way out to Trimble King into the Shanshan lands and everything. I don't know. It seems like he might could because the world is
all the way down to Falm. Like
the world is round. It's like a sphere. Sorry, flat Earth.
Well, we don't actually know if Randland is a sphere.
It's just a flat map.
It's a Randland is flat.
So that's what happened. Is like only half of Altar Hawkwing's army that went to Sara actually made it. The other half went a little too far and got sucked in the waterfall and fell off of the entire planet.
That's what happened.
Last battle, that was a pretty severe weakness for Shaidar Haran.
Maybe there is actually a round world, but there's a whole other section that we don't know about. That's just the basis for everybody else to write their own Wheel of Time stories.
The dark side of Randland.
So
actually, the best part is that the dark side of Randland, if you play that and the Wizard of Oz and you sync them up.
Bastardo. Oh.
Daniel, you're grounded.
I know.
What Daddy has
spoken. I said what I said.
Grounded.
It was to get me grounded.
Joke's on you. I'm already in my room.
Truth.
Yeah.
There is an interesting thing as well that some of his powers only apply to Dark Friends.
Yeah.
Shaidar Haran does a number of things, and I am now struggling to recall. I had it, but he does a number of things. He is able to incapacitate Dark Friends, and he's able to control and manipulate a lot of them.
Well, he does it to Masana. This is another instance of the Black Fire you were talking about.
That's who,
because when Masana was about to punish Alvarian in the White Tower, Shaidar Haran shows up and is like, no, leave her the fuck alone. And Masana is like, fuck you, I do what I want. And
I am a Forsaken.
Blackfire. It just burns off, it binds her and burns off all of her clothing in preparation for punishing her for failing to participate in the battle near Shaidar Logoth. He then marks, we don't know exactly what the mark is, but Shaidar Haran marks Alvarin in a way that absolutely prevents Masana from doing anything to her and charges her with uncovering the Aes Sedai who are hunting the Black Aja, while simultaneously punishing the shit out of Masana.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a really crazy character. Like, from a writing perspective, I want to be like, Robert Jordan was like, I need someone to do all this shit, but I don't have a good way of doing that without making it 5 different characters.
I need plot development, but like as a character.
And I don't mean that to
Because-
sound like a shortcut or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
because I love the character.
Well, let's be honest. I think that Jordan actually just didn't want
No, let's
to do
lie.
the obvious thing.
Let's lie.
Because if we're, I actually think that Nameless could have easily been the shortcut to go ahead and do all of those things, because Nameless just isn't a super descripted or a very well described entity. And so I feel like whoever gets chosen for Nameless could have easily done all of these things. Jordan just didn't want to do that. He was just like, nah, I'm gonna make a new character for that, because why the fuck not? Like,
He does like making new characters.
Yeah,
I'm
a
sorry,
little over
I need-
2,600 times.
I need someone who's gonna do something in the White Tower. All right, who's an Aes Sedai whose name
With
starts
an S name.
that I
I wonder, does answering
Wait,
the
his name is
secret to
Shaidar
how
Haran.
Yeah.
He's got an S name.
does answering, I mean, we don't get any more of an answer from it, but the way Rand lights his pipe at the end of the series, do we potentially see something similar happening with Shaidar Haran's abilities to do things with no conceivable explanation?
Yes.
Because later on, after Cimarog is captured by the Aes Sedai under Rand, after blowing her cover, he shows up and is like, "You have displeased the Dark One," and just fucking like with no effort, just her shield is gone and she's unshielded.
Yeah. And she is one of the few who can touch the true source, right? It looks like my dude is on
I
fire
don't-
over here.
I don't think she could, because like different. So from what the Forsaken say, different Forsaken over time have been granted access to the true source.
Right.
So it could be
The
that
true
we're looking at
power.
it and she can't see. Yeah.
One power true source.
Yes,
No.
one power true
Talk
source.
about the power from
True
the dark.
power is the dark one.
Yeah, that's what I meant. True power. Thank you.
Yep.
But the different Forsaken have been granted the ability to touch the true power. But it seems like once you have a Nameless, that essentially Nameless is essentially the only one, other than like maybe brief spurts to other Forsaken in dire need. I mean, I don't know. Like either the answer is that Shaidar Haran can channel the true power, or it's something like how Rand lights the pipe, or not necessarily the same thing, but
I would say, okay, so I think this is a good segue into
I was just gonna say that.
Shaidar Haran is, because there again, and I don't know if I know it's listed on the wiki here, but I don't know if it's like canon or if it's just a widely accepted theory. But the theory goes that Shaidar Haran is a tendril, if you will, of the pure essence of the Dark One himself. And so when Shaidar Haran is running around doing things, he's not acting as the Dark One's mouthpiece. He's not Nameless. He is the Dark One. He is essentially the Dark One accessing the world by proxy.
Well, I think that's excuse me. I think that is the description of it being a tendril of the Dark One is again, none of this is actually confirmed, but I think that it is what Shaidar. I like to think of this as what Shaidar Haran is. The Dark
Right.
One is just getting increasingly able to touch the world as he inches towards being broken free completely from his prison.
Right.
And out of the bore, out of the hole that was made, out of the seals weakening, all of this, all of that malice and all of that chaos and all of that ridiculous power that's being hidden behind, or that's being sort of locked away behind this thing, is beginning to be able to access the world. Now, the Dark One is sort of, I don't want to be mean to him, because I actually think that the Dark One isn't like super shitty, but he's not the most creative. Like power actually coming into the world looking a hell of a lot like a Fade, which is like one of his most terrifying followers, creations, indirect children, whatever you want to call it, makes a lot of sense. The fact that it can't get that far away from Shayl Ghul because it actually is the Dark One makes sense. All of these different things really lend themselves very much to Shaidar Haran is the Dark One's finger being able to reach out of the smallest hole that's been able to make. And it is stupid powerful already. Now just imagine that as the entire figure being out. Like, seriously, it's...
Well, and it makes sense too, right? Because the Dark One's trying to escape his prison. There's a bore. There's a hole in that prison that's now that he's now exploiting. So it would make a sense that as a formless, shapeless, ethereal sort of, presence or essence, or we don't know what the hell he is.
Yeah.
That he starts to pour himself through that bore and begins to fill some type of vessel.
Yep.
I mean, it just makes sense to me that's how it would do it. And I mean,
actually,
God,
that
if I were the
makes
Dark One and
more
I could write
sense.
my own superpowers,
which again just ends up going ahead, like lending itself to, I doubt that we even see a fraction of Shaidar Haran's abilities in the books. I mean, if that is true, then this tendril of the Dark One came out of the bore, found the first scariest willing vessel, filled itself into a Fade, made it super stupid powerful, and it runs around doing things, and it's, we see a percentage of its actual abilities that it actually uses. And obviously there are limitations, because a tendril of the Dark One is not the whole Dark One. Otherwise, the world would already be over by the time it makes it out.
right?
But again, still freaking terrifying.
Well, and that's kind of the thing is it's a trickle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why its first appearances are smaller, and then as the book series continues, its appearances become larger. It becomes able to do more. It becomes able to travel further. There's just sort of there's a thing about that as the and it's it's also notable that we don't see him until enough of the seals have been broken or weakened, and so that the Dark One can start to push, very similarly to how Rand broke out of the shield when he was captured, when he was in the box, right?
Yes.
He felt around for soft spots, hard spots, whatever, and was able to bust through those weaves. I would think it would make sense that the Dark One had a similar process of, I am in the shield and I'm looking for a way out. And then the boar comes along and he's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to work on that point.
Yep.
This whole time.
Well, and of course,
two things on that. We don't know that there's necessarily a special Myrddraal until the Dragon Reborn.
Correct.
With Boros.
Yeah.
Boros. That's it. Boros is magic again. Until then, we don't know until then. But reading it and then looking back, we learned that, like, no, we do see him in the Eye of the World, and there's no way of knowing how many of the seals that we see that are broken were broken by the end of the Eye of the World. We know for sure that one was broken, the one that was in the pool of Sidene, that wasn't in the TV show. God damn it! Really wanted to see that. But
Not necessarily.
Okay, fair point.
Just saying.
Fair point. Fair point. Not how I envision it, so therefore it's wrong.
Yeah. All right, cool.
That's
what
right.
all
That's
the naysayers
right.
say, right?
Yep.
Right? That's the argument.
But
to
they
the
were
credit
right in
of
the two rivers.
Yeah, but to the credit to the idea that he is entirely an avatar of the Dark One, in the same instance where he comes in and intercedes to some effect for Alvarian, he does reference in reference to the Black Aja, call them like its creatures, his creatures, which is something that is going to be uniquely in the sphere of the Dark One.
Yep.
So, and it does like lead credence to the idea of like why he has to return to Shao Gold every so often, why he can't be too far away, because the strain on being away from the boar or from the seal is. And I remember there was a theory, like when the theory that Nakomi was an avatar of the creator was a very big and prevalent theory, and it may still be, I don't. That essentially Nakomi was to the creator as Shaidar Haran is to the Dark One.
Well, and of course that makes a lot of sense with here, full spoilers, all of that. Rand al'Thor reaches the pit of doom and has a conversation with Moradin about the husk of a Myrddraal that he sees on his way down there.
Yes.
And it makes a lot of sense that, the creator, if Nakomi is an avatar of the creator, is very much about order and about blah, 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 that it would never overload its avatar. So Nakomi can run around and do whatever she wants the whole time. And by what she wants, I mean, what the creator wants, if she's an avatar, the whole time, and never lose the creator's abilities, because the creator isn't going to overload her with its essence and ruin the vessel that is Nakomi.
Right.
Whereas Shaidar Haran, the Dark One, has no qualms about that. As it gets more and more powerful, it's going to try and push more and more power into its avatar. And if it, as we sort of suggested, or at least I suggested, as the tendril comes out, it finds a willing host. The willing host is a Fade. Great. It can make a Fade way more powerful than it is, because Fades have more capabilities than they even knew. And once it's imbued with the Dark One's powers, all of a sudden it can do all these cool things. But once the Dark One actually gets so free by the seals breaking, or by more seals breaking, by the boar getting bigger, all of these different things, I would highly doubt that a Fade could take even a percentage of the Dark One's power for very long or very much. And so as it starts getting more and more power, right? As it starts getting more and more powerful, and it starts,
yeah, you take that power.
The Dark One starts to put more
Take
power
it like the dirty little dark fridge you are.
Into the Fade vessel that it has taken over. There's a point where the Fade can't actually deal with that anymore, and it explodes or crumbles or whatever you want to call it. And that's what Rand sees on his way down, and Moradin goes, yeah, no, that was the Dark One. He's actually just broken out of that Fade body now.
He's hanging back here. Right? We're ready.
He's going to have a conversation with you in just a second, and it's going to be a really good conversation. It's going to be a really long conversation too. But yeah, he wasn't going to have that with you as Shaidar Haran, because that shit couldn't take it. Like,
so more credence to the idea of him being, the Dark One's avatar, or the Dark One, or a vessel of Dark One, whatever. It's kind of all in the same fucking category. Mm-hmm. Bite me, sue me, whatever. Most of the abilities and things he could do, like just do to people, we only see happen and seem to be largely limited only to people that have already sided with the Shadow.
Correct.
Already sided to a dominion of which the Dark One has authority over. because we never see him go directly after Rand or Matt or Perrin, even after Morden, at least Morden, if not Shaitan himself, basically puts out a death warrant for Matt and Perrin, being like, you've got to kill them. Shaidar Haran still doesn't go for it. And then, like, one of the main counter arguments that I can think of, or that I have seen or whatever, and when I say seen, I mean it's right here on what.fandom.com. It is what it is that like, oh, well, Shaidar Haran talks about being able to break the bond or the restriction or the tie to Shao Ghul. But it's not a stretch to think that that's not Shaidar Haran as kind of the Dark One thinking, like, how can I break this tie, as like either breaking fully free of the seal or just not having to keep going back to Shao Ghul and be able to roam the world perfectly fine. I mean, the fact that if you're sealed there takes a toll on you, and eventually, like, if you don't go back, you die, gets added credence from the life of Ishmael since the breaking. 40 years out, 1,000 years in prison. 40 years out, like, it's a really long time to wait for fucking conjugal visits, but goddamn, that's a long visit. And I wonder if it's like, is it 1,000 years after he gets resealed, or is like the 1,000 years including when he is resealed? Is it really only like 960 years?
Yeah. Well, also, if he did a little less, would he be able to stay in a little less? Like, if he only did 20, is it now 500? If he only does 10, is it 250? Like,
who knows?
Who knows, man?
I mean, I know if I stay in a little less, I last a little longer. So
you have the opposite problem.
It's just pure strategy, my friend.
Oh yeah.
One of the other theories I would say was Shaidar Haran being a lifeless husk at the cave at the last battle at Tarman Gaiden. It could also be the Dark One shoring up his power, saying, okay, we've had enough of that. It's almost time. I'm going to bring all my power back to me because I'm going to need it. I've got Nae Bliss holding the front line for me. And then as soon as those seals are broken, I'm coming out. I'm going to beat the hell out of everything. And
hey, can you say all of that again correctly?
No, I will not.
But you have to.
Because Morden tells Rand that, like, he was a vessel of some sort.
Right.
And that the vessel is no longer necessary because the Dark One has begun to manifest at the Pit of Doom anyway.
Right. Which,
again, like, no, at least pretending to be good followers are going to sit there and be like, nah, he was kind of worried about making sure he had all his power, so he fucking just pulled that back.
He's just like, yeah, no, we don't need that no more. I don't know. It's just, oh God, that's just interesting. Because, this actually creates another kind of an interesting issue, though, because at one point in time, when Rand is going to kill the Dark One, he forces the Dark One into the pattern. And it talks about a shabby, squirmy, little sickly, weakly thing. And he's like, I'm not going to kill this. I can't. Because, of course, then, we remove choice and we create this really terrible landscape, this hellish landscape. And he pushes him back out of the pattern. And then, of course, seals everything up. Everything's great. Everything's happy again. But does the Dark One, as we've said, is looking to destroy the pattern. Oh God, I mean, my brain's like, it's right there, and I'm like trying to grasp at something here. He doesn't need a vessel because it's almost to the point where he can manifest that chaos and destruction on the pattern with his personal influence itself. Did I get that out? Did that make sense? Okay.
Oh, It's possible. At the point that you mentioned the Dark One being pulled in to the pattern and then pushed out of the pattern, I got completely distracted trying to just fathom the amount of pure power it would take to pull an entity that necessarily exists outside of space-time into space-time and then Uno reverse card it.
Well, also, I have to admit that during their conversation, they allow, in so many ways, the other entity to do a lot to visualize what they're doing, if that makes sense. Where the dark, I mean, they're in this kind of like mirror world, this like not actual reality, blah blah blah, and so the Dark One, especially when Rand is starting to suggest things that it knows Rand isn't going to like, it's like, no, cool, go ahead, see how that plays out for you, motherfucker. Like, and so it just allows him to go ahead and do stuff, but at the same time, they do seem to affect each other's worlds, the worlds they're creating, their fantasies that are coming to pass. And so when Rand does that, I always thought that was the Dark One, like manipulating his own, like, okay, well, let's see what happens when I pull the Dark One into the pattern. And the Dark One goes, I fucking know you. Right. You're less likely to be able to kill me if I don't look like a big, scary fucking guy.
Right.
Let me manipulate the way that you're pulling me into the pattern, into this fantasy world, and make myself look as pathetic as possible. Let me make myself look like something that you can't kill, because I don't want to die. If my three options are taking over the world and breaking the pattern, being shored up again behind the boar and getting another chance at this at some point, and being murdered, I'm taking getting shored up in behind a shield again and getting another shot at this eventually. Because I'm going to be able to get another shot at this eventually. But if he kills me, I'm done. Like,
I think the Dark One gets shot up, he's just sitting there, just round two.
Right, exactly. No, that's absolutely what I'm. And honestly, the crazy thing to me is that I feel very much like I understand Rand, and I think all of us actually do, as far as his journey and the things that he cares about and blah blah blah. Not every single aspect of all of them, but enough of them.
Wait. Is the first stage attempt to drill into the board just the cola hole?
Maybe.
I got an even better one. Did the Dark One really survive by giving Rand puppy dog eyes?
Maybe. But yeah, so honestly,
you don't really want to kill me, do you, Mr. Dragon Reborn?
Oh,
ooh, Wandalful.
Ooh,
No.
I honestly do think, like, there is a part of me that really believes, and the other thing that's crazy and what I was going into here is again the idea that I feel like Rand knows that too. That again, he doesn't want a world where the Dark One's
Andrew's
dead.
like, I'm so done with you fuckers.
But he knows that he's just putting off another breaking and another boar and another everything, because he recognizes that, again, time is cyclical, all of that different stuff. He knows that it's the best thing that he can do, but like at the end of the story, I'm sure that he's sitting there being like,
well, let's try again in another
1,000 years,
100,000 years. Yeah. No, I mean, there is something to retreat and live to fight another day. There is.
I'll ruin everybody else's life off of the like shit going on in my head now. About fucking the Dark One going full Puss in Boots. Like, come on. No. Like, it makes sense, but I hate it. Please, Mr. Dragon, don't hurt me.
We've ruined.
Ooh,
Andrew's
what's that?
headcanon
Notices
of
your
scene.
bulgy wolgy.
Stop it.
No!
I don't want, and we were already going too far, and then you added your asterisk role play. Get the fuck out of here.
Look, if I have to suffer, everybody gets to suffer.
Oh, I will. One other thing. Shaidar Haran has a voice
Shaidar
that
Haran.
sounds like
Shit in her hand. That's
crumpling
rude.
leaves. How does one sound like crumpling leaves? Andrew, give me your best crumpling leaves.
Hold on, wait. I have a voice mod for this.
Okay, do it.
I gotta find it though. It sounds like just broken radio.
I mean,
Oh, they changed the interface. Oh wait, voice box. That's what I need to go to. Like I feel like it's just like a super staticky radio. Where's the fucking police radio fucking voice thing?
I feel like it's very breathy, like the sound of crumpling leaves, but also with very good enunciation of certain letters in the sentence structures.
You know what?
I don't know where
actually
this sound
want
effect
now?
is.
What do you
really
want now?
want it to be Shaquille O'Neal does the body and all of the act or all of the like movements, and then you just have, and you'll never see
Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin is Shaidar Haran's voice.
Yes.
I don't know where it went. Anyway,
Wait, hang on. I just have Demandrid, and he's like, "Go away, get out of here. I don't want to see you, and I don't want to see you to see the Dark One do these evil things to me here in the boar." And he's just like, "No, I don't think I will."
No, I don't want to.
No,
But I'm holding the one power.
I don't care.
But it doesn't make any sense.
Whatever.
No, honestly, like when you say like if you're taking like third age and I'm talking about like a voice that sounds like crumpling leaves, it sounds like static. It sounds like early on, like if you've ever watched like ghost hunting things, the spirit box.
Yeah.
Like this very staticky radio, like whenever you're going out of some of you that are younger than me, which is rare, but it happens. You'll remember listening to only AM or FM radio. And when you started getting out of range of the station, it started getting staticky and garbled. And if you were lucky, you could listen to two different songs at once. And sometimes they meshed up pretty well. That was the original mashup.
Those are the original mashups. Yeah.
But
okay,
like,
so
that's
maybe
kind of what I
think
envision. It's just like broken radio staticky voice.
Like Grima
Poltergeist.
tongue, only with static.
Not like Poltergeist, like when the daughter's speaking through the TV, and it's like kind of echoey and staticky. Okay, yeah, no, his voice just got a lot more terrifying. I don't like this anymore. I hurt myself in my confusion. Oh.
I'm putting you in the corner, Mead Mistress. I'm doing it. You're not allowed.
No, that is definitely how we got country rock. It's probably also how we got rap rock.
Play your cards right. It's how we'll get Ragnarok.
Steven Tyler was driving down the road and he was listening to his own music because that's what he does. And the radio station started messing with Run DMC. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to call these cats. They're pretty cool. And that's what happened.
That's how Evanescence and Linkin Park started working together.
Not this way.
All right. Let's do this. Let's wrap this up. Final thoughts on Shaidar Haran. Who wants to go first? I mean, I can go.
Nose goes.
Daniel, you have to go first.
Sure. My thoughts on Shaidar Haran. I actually have always very much been in the theory that it is the Dark One, that it's as much of the Dark One as it can push out of the boar and into the world. And it found the first willing host, which was a fade, and that's why it looks like it does, even though it is so much more than a fade. And that it really is, partially because I have the theory that it is the Dark One, it is the most terrifying thing in the Wheel of Time. Second is the Golem, and it's not that distant second, but it is. Shaidar Haran is the most terrifying entity in all of the books. Now, again, it does have some weaknesses because of the fact that it is not just its own entity. It is attached to something. It is, still very much a part of something that can't leave a certain area, all of that good stuff. But that, honestly, from the moment that Shaidar Haran is introduced, it is now the scariest piece on the board. And it does not change until Rand sees its dead body, all the way at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And even then, you're still like, I'm not sure about that. I still think Shaidar Haran has a chance to like pop out and fuck Rand's day up. Like,
I've played Left 4 Dead. He'll be back.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I like that was such a Dark Souls moment in the books where he like walks past it and he's like, oh, that's a husk. And you're like, no, it's not. Do not ignore that. That is going to come up and stand up and
right
back. Like,
you do not want to ignore that.
But in the end, I mean, like, it also totally makes sense that it has that particular uselessness at that point in the book, and that it really is, a very different entity at that time. But all the way up until that point, it really is, the black chess player's queen. And it's the scariest thing on the board, and you avoid it as much as possible, and you, on occasion, sacrifice pieces to it because you have to. But in the end, you gotta get it off the board. And Jordan is brilliant in the way that he introduces Shaidar Haran and the way that it removes it from the board. And I just really think that it's, I think that Shaidar Haran, again, is something that comes out of left field on purpose because Jordan didn't want to go obvious. He didn't want to make 5 characters to do this thing. He didn't want to go ahead and just say, the Dark One is chosen, who's going to be nameless. Now he's putting this power into blah, blah, blah. They're running around doing this stuff. It's a new entity that scares the bejesus out of you.
Right.
And I like that a lot.
I'm going to agree with you.
The Jesus.
The Bee Gees. It scares the Bee Gees out of you, and it's like, well, you can tell by the way I move my walk, I'm Shaidar Haran. No time to talk.
Andrew, go.
Oh, I wanted you to go because I hadn't
I
really
can
thought
go.
about my
I
final
can go.
thought.
I just need a minute. Okay. I love.
Oh, I thought that was funny. Fuck you both. All right, never mind.
It was.
It was good. It was good. I love Shaidar Haran being sort of the Dark One's finger on the board. I really also love, Nakomi being the creator's finger on the board. They're both fingering the board.
Yep.
God,
This is Shaidar Haran.
I'd say the only disappointing thing about the whole story arc of Shaidar Haran is that we don't get to see the death.
Yeah.
And as a result, I feel like, and this is actually kind of a good thing from a storytelling perspective, I wanted more. I wanted to see more of what this truly terrifying creature was capable of.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Literally the blade of Shadow
Did you
Spawn.
get very far?
All of their strengths, none of their weaknesses, kind of a deal. And it's very, very good, very, very scary. And just a great character to really kind of dig into. There's a lot of like some of the deeper or more philosophical or more metaphysical bits of the story really kind of coalesce around Shaidar Haran. So it's a real fun, it's a real chewy topic, I'll say. And so I really love the character. I really love the character's impact in the story. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to speak now. Who speaks on a podcast?
Only if you won't.
There really needs to be a silent
No, letting
podcast
go
where it's
full.
just like an hour of guaranteed silence. I don't know why, but it's like
Just
ASMR, but
rainforest
without
sounds
all
for
the
an hour.
disgusting parts. I just hurt myself thinking of ASMR. Makes me gag every time. No, I really like Shaidar Haran because like I feel like he's a villain of the story with the perfect amount of mystery. Neither side knows exactly what or who fully Shaidar Haran is. And he's never explained. Like for me, when it comes to like horror elements, like I want a horror movie, and I'm sure there are some, and if you know some, please let me know because it's my favorite type of horror movies where scary shit happens and it's never explained. To me, that's what makes horror scary. Like Insidious was terrifying until they started explaining it. Then I'm like, oh, this movie sucks now. But I love. Oh god, I'm gonna have to read. Motherfucker. God damn it, Snakes and Fox. You're not wrong. And I hate that you're right.
Today is my wait, hang on. Today is my birthday, and I'm wearing my birthday suit.
Oh, god damn. Another great reason to be a patron.
Truth.
But I love the mystery around Shaidar Haran. I much like other things I've headcanon in the past and been wrong about, or things that like are just different viewpoints. I really like the idea that part of how Shaidar Haran does his stuff is similar to how Rand does the pipe. I don't honestly think that's the case. I just love the thought experiment of it.
I like the parallel there, though.
Me too.
Yeah. So I think it's a fun thought experiment. Maybe it deserves a spot on Theory Land. Who knows? But he's cool. Like he is. When you're reading the books, and obviously everything's happening to characters in the books and everything, like none of this is like necessarily frightening. But if you were to sit there and think about you being in the position of some of the characters that Shaidar Haran interacts with and having to face these threats, like he is abundantly terrifying. And I love that. And I really hope it's conveyed in the TV series. I really hope that the viewer is actually terrified of Shaidar Haran. Like I'm so ready to see the TV series really ramp up the violence and the fear factor. And I really hope that that's what Rafe and the team have planned to ramp up. More so the fear factor than the violence. Like the fear and suspense, I want to see ramp up like to the safest degree possible. With that caveat, I want episodes to induce mild forms of anxiety to the safest degree possible, with the warnings and everything. Like that's the kind of fear aspect I'm hoping to see. And I think Shaidar Haran, who we could potentially see in season 2. So season 2 is supposed to cover books 2 and 3, I think, right? Yeah. Maybe.
Aspects of 2 and
could,
3.
it could
Aspects of 2 and 3
potentially happen. Yes.
Well, I'm hoping Shaidar Haran's ass is one of those pecs that we cover.
You dickhole.
But I know I like him. I think he's really cool. From a writing perspective, I think he is definitely a plot device. He is a character that can be thrown in anywhere because his powers allow him to be essentially anywhere, to come and go as he pleases without much need of explanation beyond like, oh, I can only be away for so long, or I can show up whenever. He's got these OP kind of abilities. He's like the blue control player of the Wheel of Time. Like, I'm gonna just show up and stop what you're doing and make you pay for what you were trying to do. So, which isn't a good comparison for me because I hate blue control.
No one likes blue control.
Yeah, because blue
Blue
control
players
says
ruin the game. They're natural enemies like blue players and red players, or blue players and black players, or blue players and white players,
and other blue players,
or blue players and other blue players.
Yeah, like playing blue control in MTG basically says I don't know how to play. I can't play the game, and I'm not going to let anybody else play the game either. Hey, fuck you. I mean, have fun, well, honestly, but fuck you. Yeah, I don't know. He's cool. I like him. I do ascribe that like he is some avatar of the Dark One. I think it's more of like an entity created of the Dark One's like desires and wishes, rather than being like physically like some portion of the Dark One himself.
I like that.
Like a Horcrux. Like it's not really that different, but it's also not the original or same thing.
Sure.
That's it.
That's
how it happened.
Why he had, yep, that's it.
Yeah, Harry
Shaidar
killed the
Haran
last
is
Horcrux and
saying
Shaidar
is
Haran
Shaidar
He's a
Haran is a
Horcrux.
Horcrux.
Crux.
Yes. The
Understood.
crux of a whore.
Oh, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you
And
so
on
much.
that note,
Remember, guys, go to blacktowerpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things Black Tower. We hope you've enjoyed this background breakdown on Shaidar Haran. We hope that you have enjoyed your dose of taint, and we hope that as you leave this recording, you're just a teensy bit more insane than you were when you first got here. Thanks for being here. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been Josh.
And I have been Andrew.
and I have seen way too many pictures of Shaquille O'Neal today. But it has been very fun. And I have been Daniel.
Go and check out all the stuff. BlackTowerPod.com for all of our stuff. TheGreatBlight.com for all of the spoiler-friendly stuff for the Wheel of Time. And when you're like, it's fucking midnight, I don't have the energy for this, w.gg, use code BTP or click the link down in the show notes below to get 10% off your order of all the energy you could ever need. Do one scoop, don't do two, or you get the jitters. So work your way up into tolerance.
Work your way up. Work your way up.
W.goodgame. Yes, go enjoy that. And thank you very, very much for being here. We had a great time with you guys. We hope that you had a great time with us. We hope that you continue to have a great time with us in the future. We hope that you're having a wonderful morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Always running the show.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting